The man used to be an elite secret agent, but on his way home one day he is subjected to a humiliating confrontation. To keep his true identity hidden, Jack chooses to swallow his pride. The other man, however, only grows bolder, deliberately ramming his car into Jack, then turning around and accusing him of staging the collision for an insurance scam. With security cameras everywhere and neighbors gathering to watch, Jack has no choice but to bite his tongue once again. But the heavy-set man refuses to let it go, storming over, grabbing Jack by the collar, curling abuse, and eventually knocking him to the ground even then. Jack doesn't fight back. He knows every move he makes is being watched around the clock the moment his true abilities are exposed. The peaceful life he has built will be over for good. The quiet, ordinary existence Jack now leads was bought at an enormous cost. While most soldiers retire through proper discharge paperwork, he forced his own release by holding his commanding officer at gunpoint. His real identity can never come to light because Jack was once a North Korean intelligence operative who defected, later secretly recruited by South Korean intelligence. He served as a double agent on 5 separate occasions, carried out 17 top-secret infiltration missions into North Korea, and even personally planned and led an assassination attempt against the country's supreme leader. To this day, multiple governments are still quietly hunting for him, and yet this sane man now lives as nothing more than an ordinary bank employee. Having lost his wife early, Jack has raised his daughter, Minji, now a high school junior, on his own. Without a mother's presence growing up, the distance between father and daughter has only widened over the years, to the point that Jack has no idea his daughter has been suffering relentless bullying at school. It started simply because his clothes were always washed together with hers, leaving a lingering scent that the ringleader Wire Wee and her 2 friends mock relentlessly, even humiliating her in the school bathroom. Fortunately, Minji's birthday is coming up soon. With help from his co-worker Shanya, Jack steals himself and buys an upscale jacket worth $500,000 as a birthday gift. Back home, he quietly hides it in a drawer, planning a surprise for the big day. What he could never imagine is the horror about to befall his daughter. He tries to start a conversation with Minji, but she stays cold and unresponsive. Only after he presses repeatedly does she finally speak, and her first request is simply that they stop washing their clothes together from now on, assuming she is simply growing up and wanting more privacy. Jack agrees without question. Back in her room, Minji quietly scrolls through Wirewee's social media, envying her vibrant, colorful life and feeling a quiet crush on a boy named Namhun who appears in several of Wirewee's photos. The next day in gym class, Minji discovers her workout clothes have been thrown in the trash by Wire-Wee and her friends just as she is about to head to class in her school uniform instead. Namhun, boy she has secretly liked for a while, offers her his own jacket to wear, his name clearly stitched on it. The gesture sends Wire-Wee into a fury, and she resolves to torment Minji even more viciously. While his daughter's disaster looms, Jack is out drinking with 2 old friends. Jinja, the most devoted father among them, even has his daughter's photo printed on his shirt. As the 3 of them chat, a group of thugs at a nearby table gets into an altercation with the bar owner, who'd simply reminded them smoking wasn't allowed indoors. The thugs respond with a torrent of abuse. None of the other patrons dare speak up, all keeping their heads down except Jinja, who keeps his eyes locked on the group. He has no interest in starting trouble, but the heavyset thug among them isn't satisfied with just shouting. He deliberately throws a cup of tea over Jinja even after this humiliation. Jinja restrains his anger and doesn't react, but the next moment the thug points at the photo of Jinja's daughter printed on his shirt and starts mocking it without restraint. His daughter means everything to Jinja, and at that, his patience finally snaps. He explodes into action. Someone grabs a fire extinguisher and slams it against his head with full force, and unbeknownst to anyone, a blow like that to Jinja's head triggers a complete loss of control when he is powerless to recover from on his own, as the situation spirals entirely out of hand. His friends urgently warn the arriving police to use a stun gun, the only thing able to subdue him. The next morning, Minji returns Namhun's freshly washed jacket, and the 2 share a friendly, light-hearted exchange. Wire-Wee happens to witness the whole thing and, burning with rage, drags Minji into a storage room and slaps her hard across the face. Then, still not satisfied, strikes her twice more, calling her a feral child with no mother. Her mother's memory is the one thing Minji holds sacred, untouchable, and at the mention of it, she snaps, kicking Wire-Wee to the ground and tackling her into a full brawl. When the other 2 bullies try to intervene, an enraged Minji shoves them off and keeps landing blow after blow on Wire-Wee's head. Soon after, Jack, at work at the bank, gets an urgent call from the school with the principal pleading for him to come immediately. Wire-Wee's father, Chairman Ju, is a notoriously formidable figure in the area, reportedly covered in tattoos as a young man, which he later burned off entirely with fire, simply so as not to frighten his daughter. In the principal's office, Minji desperately tries to explain to her father that Wire-Wee started the whole fight, but Jack quietly tells her to stop talking. When Wire-Wee's mother demands a formal hearing on school violence and insists the incident be permanently recorded on Minji's academic file, Jack slowly lowers himself to his knees. It isn't an act of weakness, it is because he understands better than anyone that he absolutely cannot risk exposing his true identity, and he cannot let his daughter be pulled into anything more dangerous. Watching Jack's reaction, Chairman Ju dismisses the matter as nothing more than kids being kids, saying there is no need to make a big deal of it. As father and daughter leave, his father's actions leave Minji utterly devastated. She feels not only that he doesn't believe her, but that he is bowing down to power simply because Wairowi's family has money and influence that their family has no choice but to swallow their pride and stay silent for the first time. She feels genuinely ashamed of her own father. She tells him, on the spot, that she is staying at a friend's house tonight and won't be coming home walking alone through the streets. Minji suddenly gets a message from Nam-hun, asking to meet somewhere by midnight. She still hasn't come home. Jack assumes she is simply staying over at a friend's place, with no idea that by this point, she has already lost consciousness somewhere the next morning. At first light, Jack anxiously calls Minji's classmates, only to learn that she never went to any of their homes the night before. Realizing something is terribly wrong, he rushes to the school, but there is no trace of her anywhere on campus. That is when Nam-hun, badly beaten and bruised, appears in front of him. Confessing that the message inviting Minji to meet hadn't actually come from him, he'd been forced to send it under threat from someone else following the address Nam-hun provides. Jack arrives at the scene immediately, only to find a large pool of half-dried blood on the ground, along with a hair tie left behind as a former elite agent with a photographic memory. Jack recognizes it instantly. It belongs to Wairowi. Before long, Wairowi and one of the thugs return to the scene, unaware that Jack has already been waiting there for some time. He picks up the hair tie and demands to know where his daughter is. The thug, assuming Jack is an easy target, moves to attack him, but Jack effortlessly dodges with a single motion. Enraged, the thug tears Jack's shirt apart, revealing a body covered in scars beneath. Both Wairowi and the thug instinctively step back at the sight. In this moment, Jack's eyes burn with pure, unrestrained killing intent. His daughter is his entire world. He has already lost his wife, and he will not let any harm come to her now. He no longer hides who he truly is, no longer holds back his real strength. What follows is Jack embarking on a ruthless, merciless path of vengeance to find his daughter, to find his missing daughter. This veteran elite agent, who has spent years living under a hidden identity, transforms back into a relentless force of vengeance. He opens a hidden compartment and pulls out a briefcase loaded with weapons, fits a pair of specialized tactical glasses, and heads alone into the heart of gang territory. He has already learned the full story behind Minji's disappearance from a small-time thug. After Minji left home, Wairowi, seeking revenge, had a group of thugs use Nam-hun's phone to lure her out under false pretenses. By the time she realized something was wrong, she was already completely surrounded with no way to escape. Forced to face Wairowi alone, she does her best to stay composed. Without a word, Wairowi slaps her across the face, drawing mocking laughter from the group. In Wairowi's mind, a simple transfer isn't punishment enough. Minji needs to kneel and apologize publicly. But unlike her father Jack, Minji refuses to simply endure it. She fights back immediately. Caught off guard that Minji would actually retaliate, Wairowi grapples with her, but it is clear Minji has the physical advantage and Wairowi ends up thrown to the ground. One of the thugs nearby rushes in, grabbing Minji and punching her hard in the stomach. As he continues beating her, an enraged Wairowi grabs a brick and slams it down on the back of Minji's head. She crashes hard into a pile of rubble, taking another blow to the skull, and blood quickly stains the ground beneath her. Watching students nearby try to call the police are forcibly stopped by the thugs, who threaten that everyone present will be treated as accomplices and confiscate every phone on the scene. One of the thugs knows Minja, an enforcer with the Goldtooth gang, and immediately calls him for help disposing of the body. Minja initially refuses, but Wairowi grabs the phone from him and blurts out that her father is none other than Chairman Ju. The moment the Goldtooth gang's boss, Goldtooth himself, learns whose daughter is involved, he rushes to the scene with two of his men, stuffs Minji into the trunk of a car, and personally escorts Wairowi home. On the way back, Goldtooth secretly records the entire exchange of Wairowi demanding they dispose of the body. Curious, Wairowi asks exactly how they plan to handle it. Goldtooth tells her, matter-of-factly, that they'll gut the body completely and sink it into the ocean, ensuring it never resurfaces. Having never glimpsed this dark underworld before, Wairowi turns ghostly pale on the spot, barely even registering how she makes it back home. Before parting ways, Goldtooth issues a stern warning. Under no circumstances can Chairman Ju learn what happened tonight, or none of them will see a good outcome. Meanwhile, Jack, his face a mask of pure intent to kill, has already arrived at one of the Goldtooth gang's hideouts. Without wasting a word, he goes straight to work with his fists, scanning every face in the room until his gaze lands on a black market doctor, and behind him, lying on a hospital bed, a girl barely clinging to consciousness. The sight sends an icy chill through Jack's eyes, and he sends the doctor flying with a single punch before pushing deeper into the building. Ninja tries to flee, but stumbles only a few steps before tripping over a trap Jack had set in advance. A former elite agent never leaves an enemy room to retreat. Searing pain shoots through his legs, and he screams in agony. Jack approaches slowly, each step radiating menace. Ninja quickly insists he has no idea where Minji actually is. Every operation within the Goldtooth gang is run independently, and members only communicate through temporary chat groups set up whenever a superior needs something done. Jack orders him to contact his superior, but Minja explains that is impossible unless their boss reaches out first. There is no way to initiate contact, and every chat room is deleted the moment an operation concludes. The instant he finishes speaking, Minja shouts for backup, calling for his men to take Jack down. Confused by his sudden confidence, Jack soon learns why. Minja claims he is a minor, untouchable by the law. Hearing this, Jack pulls out a weapon, replying coldly that the law has no hold over him either. The shot lands, and Minja immediately begs Jack to call an ambulance. The next moment, Goldtooth himself reaches out to Minja, demanding he make absolutely sure those kids stay silent. Jack doesn't hesitate. He calls the number back immediately, but a move backfires. Rather than yielding any clue to his daughter's whereabouts, it alerts Goldtooth, who instantly orders his men to shut down the chat and dump their phones. In this moment, even a once unstoppable elite agent feels, for the first time, a crushing sense of helplessness. A single tear slips down his face. His daughter's disappearance has stripped away every ounce of the composure once expected of a top agent. Years earlier, his wife had passed away shortly after giving birth to Minji. Her final wish, that Jack protect their daughter no matter what it took. It is precisely because of that promise that Jack had once held a gun to his commanding officer, forcing his own discharge just so he could raise her himself. To him, Minji isn't just more precious than his own life. She is the living embodiment of his late wife's final request. That is exactly why he is now willing to cross every line an agent is trained never to cross. A group of police officers suddenly storms in and takes him into custody. But just as he is being escorted away, a man wearing diving goggles surfaces from the sea nearby, a top-tier assassin sent by North Korea with a single mission: eliminate Jack. It turns out that, not long ago, footage of Jinja brutally beating those thugs at the restaurant had been uploaded online. No one could have predicted that North Korea's intelligence bureau would spot it. Recognizing Jack in the footage, they ran a search and discovered, to their shock, that he was their most wanted fugitive. A man they believed dead for years, killed during a covert mission. Only now do they realize they'd been deceived all this time. Even more unbearable to them is the revelation that their once greatest agent had defected to South Korea. During his service in North Korea, Jack had operated under the codename 66, a designation originally belonging to another legendary agent, who Jack himself had killed years earlier, inheriting the codename and the process. Determined to eliminate Jack once and for all, North Korean leadership tracks down the younger brother of that original Agent 66, who by sheer coincidence has also become an agent himself. The mission to kill Jack falls squarely on his shoulders. Meanwhile, South Korean intelligence has also noticed something is deeply wrong. The agency that has been secretly monitoring Jack discovers his recent movements have spiraled completely outside their control. Digging further, they uncover Jinji's background as well, learning that he and Jack had carried out numerous covert infiltration missions into North Korea together over the years. Director Kang, the official overseeing Jack's surveillance, turns out to be the very same superior officer Jack had once coerced into approving his discharge. Now that North Korea has discovered Jack is still alive, it is certain they've already mobilized. Director Kang cannot allow someone this dangerous to fall back into North Korean hands, meaning South Korea must locate Jack before North Korea does, at any cost. Within a single night, two opposing forces launch a simultaneous manhunt, and Jack, utterly unaware, has become the target of both. The North Korean operative who infiltrated South Korea has already made contact on the streets and learned which police station is currently holding Jinja. The next morning, he strolls casually into the station, subdues a guard in the restroom, swaps into his uniform, and approaches Jinja as though nothing's amiss. But the moment their eyes meet, Jinja senses something is off. Faced with the weapon in the man's hand, however, he has no choice but to prioritize his own safety, ultimately revealing the location of Jack's home. Once he has secured his safety, Jinja knows he can't afford to remain in custody any longer. He turns to a fellow inmate, asking for a favor. The guard, seeing the commotion, hurries to unlock the cell door, and Jinja seizes the opportunity to escape. Meanwhile, Wireway sits restlessly in her room, unable to shake the terror of having taken a life for the first time. She scours the internet obsessively for any news, desperate to know whether the body's been discovered. But even with no news surfacing, the fear refuses to lift. Worse still, Jack's scarred body and the murderous look in his eyes keep resurfacing in her mind like a recurring nightmare. Then Chairman Ju appears, telling Wireway not to worry. He'll protect her. Ju's ruthlessness goes far beyond what anyone might imagine. Every step that brought him to his current position was built on bodies left behind along the way. No one understands this better than Goldtooth, who witnessed Ju's brutal methods firsthand back when he worked for him, and knows full well that the bodyguards surrounding Ju are all former Special Forces mercenaries. Precisely because of the deep-seated grudge between them, Goldtooth's apparent assistance with Wireway's cover-up is, in truth, a calculated move to gather leverage against Ju himself. He deliberately edits the recording, trimming and rearranging it into an entirely different version of events back at the police station. Jack remains completely silent, refusing to respond no matter how the officers press him with no other option. They attempt to identify him through fingerprint analysis, but when the system finishes the comparison, the screen simply displays 4 words: insufficient access clearance. As confusion spreads among the officers, Jack's phone suddenly rings. One of them reflexively reads the caller ID aloud, "Daughter," just 2 words. But they're enough to instantly transform the dead look in Jack's eyes. Minji isn't dead after all. In the moment Goldtooth and his men let their guard down, lying in the trunk, her finger twitches faintly. In that instant, hope reignites in Jack, a man who had nearly given up entirely. But what awaits him next is an even more dangerous, deadly trap. See you next time.